Hello friends. If you were born on January 28, you're not just another Aquarius, you're a rare alignment of cosmic energy, ancient numerology, and elemental power. You're the kind of person who walks into a room and doesn't just catch attention, you redirect it. But why is that? Why are people born on January 28 so naturally magnetic, intuitive, and filled with contradictions that somehow work perfectly? Today, we'll dive into a comprehensive astrological portrait of January 28 natives. From Western astrology to Druidic signs, from numerology to Vedic traditions, we'll leave no cosmic stone unturned. Whether you're seeking insights about love, sex, friendship, business, or compatibility, this horoscope will reveal the truths you've always felt in your bones, but maybe never fully understood. So, let's crack open the secrets of the stars, numbers, stones, and symbols that define you. Western astrology sun sign, Aquarius. As an Aquarius born on January 28, you represent a unique fusion of air sign intellect and cosmic rebellion. You're ruled by Uranus, the planet of innovation, sudden change, and nonconformity. Uranus doesn't move slowly or politely, and neither do you. But here's the twist, being born at this point in the Zodiac calendar, you carry subtle influences from neighboring signs, especially Leo, your Zodiac opposite. This creates a distinctive blend of fire and air within your personality, someone who doesn't just think outside the box but throws the box away entirely. You're the kind of Aquarius who blends the revolutionary spirit of your sign with a performative flair. You may be the quiet observer who surprises everyone with a powerful speech, or the extroverted visionary who disappears for a week to recharge and sketch out a plan for your next big leap. You hold deep convictions about the world and humanity, yet you can shock people with your sharp, sometimes sarcastic wit. And while you exude freedom and detachment, your loyalty runs deeper than most realize, you just don't hand it out casually. At your best, you're a walking contradiction that somehow works. You can juggle logic and emotion, hold space for progressive ideals while maintaining quirky traditions, and challenge authority even while commanding respect. You're a humanitarian at heart, but you don't just feel, you act. You want to do something with all that visionary power. Your essence is electric, unpredictable, and deeply idealistic. Your core strengths. Inventive and original thinker. You see patterns others don't. Your mind is a generator of fresh concepts, unconventional solutions, and innovative visions. Whether you're redesigning your career path or coming up with ideas at 3 a.m., your thoughts are rarely recycled. You naturally challenge the status quo, not out of rebellion for its own sake, but because you see how things could be. You're the person who hears, "That's never been done before," and takes it as a challenge. Natural leader without needing to dominate. You lead with vision, not ego. People follow you not because you're the loudest in the room, but because your ideas spark curiosity and change. You rarely seek titles or authority for their own sake, you're much more interested in impact. You uplift others, encouraging them to think for themselves, and you make leadership feel like a collaboration, not a hierarchy. In crisis, people turn to you because they trust your cool-headed clarity and radical insight. Emotionally independent, but deeply idealistic. You're not someone who needs emotional hand-holding, and you often keep your more vulnerable feelings private. Yet beneath your cool exterior lies a powerful well of belief in love, justice, and the potential for a better world. You care, sometimes too much, but you protect that idealism with a layer of detachment. When you let someone in emotionally, it's because they've earned your trust on an intellectual and soul level. Witty and eccentric in the most charming way. Your sense of humor is razor-sharp, unexpected, and often laced with philosophical depth. You say the things everyone's thinking, or the things no one else could even imagine. You're effortlessly quirky, maybe it's the way you dress, the strange hobbies you collect, or your ability to turn a science documentary into a hilarious conversation starter. Your eccentricity isn't performative, it's just you, and it makes people feel like they've entered a more interesting reality when they're around you. But every Aquarian shadow has its light. You sometimes ghost people without realizing. When you're overwhelmed, bored, or deep in your own head, you have a habit of vanishing. You don't mean to hurt anyone, it's just that your inner world becomes so consuming that external obligations lose their grip. You value space so much that you sometimes forget others need closure or consistency. This trait can confuse or alienate partners and friends who don't understand your mental need for detachment. You crave connection but fear losing independence. This paradox is at the heart of many of your emotional struggles. You long for a deep bond, but the moment someone starts to get too close or make demands, your instinct is to back off. You fear being boxed in, controlled, or expected to conform. Relationships must feel like freedom, otherwise, you're already halfway out the door. Learning to balance autonomy with intimacy is one of your soul's lifelong lessons. Love, sex relationships. Falling in love with a January 28 Aquarius isn't a gentle slide, it's a thrilling plunge into something unforgettable. You don't do surface level. You don't do predictable. You want the kind of connection that makes your brain light up and your soul feel seen. For you, love is both a game of mental chess and an abstract art form. If your partner doesn't challenge your ideas, share your values, or make you laugh until your sides hurt, they won't last long in your orbit. You're highly selective when it comes to romance. Attraction begins in the mind. You want someone who can hold a conversation that jumps from Plato to punk rock to parallel universes, all over breakfast. Emotional intensity doesn't scare you, neediness does. You fall hardest for those who are independent, clever, slightly mysterious, and fully themselves. Once committed, you're fiercely loyal, but only if the relationship allows space to breathe. You can be the most devoted partner in the world, but you need your freedom like air. You're not here for traditional gender roles, jealousy, or 24/7 togetherness. Your ideal relationship is a beautiful paradox, two people traveling in the same direction, but in separate cars, sometimes holding hands through the windows. Sexually, you're a curious, open-minded explorer. You're not ruled by lust, but by intellectual stimulation that creates chemistry. Mental connection is your ultimate aphrodisiac. Once that's present, your creativity and desire ignite. You enjoy experimenting and surprising your partner, and you bring humor, imagination, and spontaneity into intimacy. If there's a cause behind the pleasure, emotional truth, shared purpose, or deeper meaning, it turns you on even more. In marriage, you're happiest when partnered with someone who acts as your best friend, creative partner, and co-conspirator. You don't need traditional declarations to feel bonded, you need shared evolution. You want a union that pushes both of you to grow individually and together. The person who can travel through life with you, metaphorically and literally, is the one who will win your heart. Ideal long-term partners. Gemini communication bliss. With Gemini, you find a mental match who can keep pace with your whirlwind thoughts. Conversations are endless, curiosity is mutual, and there's rarely a dull moment. You both value freedom and lightheartedness, which keeps the relationship vibrant and low pressure. Sagittarius freedom meets fire. Sagittarius shares your need for exploration, of the world, the mind, and new ideas. There's a passionate spark here that feels like two flames dancing independently but always returning to each other. This match is adventurous, optimistic, and forward-thinking. Libra harmony and aesthetics. Libra brings elegance, diplomacy, and emotional intelligence to the mix. You bring vision, originality, and intellectual stimulation. Together, it's like a beautiful balancing act of air sign energy, breezy yet deep, idealistic yet grounded in beauty. Leo opposites attract and inspire. Your opposite sign challenges you, excites you, and surprises you. Leo brings warmth, loyalty, and flair, while you offer perspective, originality, and a dash of cool rebellion. When balanced, this duo is dynamic, charismatic, and fiercely creative. Aries intellectual sparks and action. Aries matches your intensity and brings fire to your air. You inspire each other to act on your boldest ideas. While you think ahead, Aries charges forward, and together, you become a force for change. This pairing thrives on mutual respect and a shared sense of purpose. Signs that may require more effort. Taurus, too slow-moving. Taurus is grounded and sensual, but their preference for routine and stability can feel limiting to your ever-evolving spirit. Communication may break down if Taurus clings to tradition while you crave innovation. Cancer, too emotionally intense. Cancer's depth and sensitivity are admirable, but their need for constant emotional assurance may overwhelm your emotionally independent nature. While you appreciate loyalty, you struggle with emotional clinginess. Scorpio, too controlling. Scorpio is magnetic, intense, and passionate, but their need for emotional dominance and secrecy can trigger your fear of being trapped. Trust and autonomy would be constant points of negotiation. Marriage compatibility. If you were born on January 28, your approach to marriage is anything but conventional. You don't see love as a box to check or a milestone to rush into, you see it as a sacred partnership built on mutual respect, freedom, and growth. Many individuals born on this date either marry later in life or pursue partnerships that don't fit the usual mold: long-term cohabitation, open relationships, or spiritual unions that defy social norms. You need time to understand yourself fully before you're willing to share that space with someone else. And when you do choose to commit, it's not for appearances, it's because you found a partner who reflects your depth, mirrors your curiosity, and walks beside you, not in front or behind. What makes marriage work for a January 28 Aquarius is intellectual intimacy. You crave a partner who stimulates your mind and challenges your perceptions, not someone who tries to tame or fix you. The person who wins your heart is someone who sees your complexity, embraces your quirks, and never asks you to dull your sparkle. You need a spouse who understands that love, for you, is not a permanent state, it's an ongoing conversation, an adventure, a co-written story where both characters evolve. Non-traditional roles. Traditional gender roles or rigid expectations feel suffocating to you. You don't want to be the provider or the nurturer just because society says so, you want to define the relationship on your own terms. You may take turns cooking, travel for work while your partner holds down the fort, or even live apart at times to preserve individuality. The idea of a cookie-cutter marriage bores you, and you're happiest when you and your spouse design a lifestyle that fits your values, not cultural clichés. Roles in your ideal marriage are fluid, flexible, and based on mutual strengths rather than tradition. You're drawn to the idea of partnership as a shared mission, like two founders of a startup or two artists creating a masterpiece. Each of you contributes something unique, and you take pride in building something together that no one else could replicate. Whether it's a business, a social cause, or a quirky home life filled with travel and joint projects, your roles must evolve with time. The more unconventional the arrangement, the more likely you are to thrive. A partner who supports your passions, not competes with them. Your ambition, curiosity, and visionary ideas are core to who you are, and your ideal partner not only understands that, but celebrates it. You need someone who roots for your goals, respects your late-night brainstorming sessions, and doesn't get insecure if you're obsessing over a creative project instead of planning dinner. The worst match for you is someone who tries to compete for attention or dim your light to feel more secure. That dynamic suffocates you, and leads to emotional distance, or worse, emotional detachment. The right spouse will be your biggest fan, your sounding board, and your co-conspirator. They'll ask questions about your dreams, offer thoughtful feedback, and give you the freedom to run wild with your ideas. In turn, you'll be just as supportive of their passions, as long as they're genuine and fueled by purpose. You believe that each person in the relationship should have a mission, and when both of you are fueled by passion, the marriage becomes a constantly renewing source of energy and inspiration. Shared interest in ideas, culture, or social change. Mental chemistry is your romantic glue, without it, the bond eventually dissolves. You fall in love with minds before you fall in love with faces. That's why your most successful marriages are built on shared values and intellectual alignment. Whether it's a mutual love of literature, an obsession with space travel, or a joint commitment to environmental causes, you need something larger than yourselves to anchor the relationship. When you and your partner can engage in passionate debates, binge documentaries together, or volunteer for a cause you both believe in, your connection deepens on a soul level. This shared mental and moral territory gives your marriage a mission. It transforms it from a private bond into something that contributes to the world around you. And because you're always growing, always seeking, having a partner who's also on a lifelong quest for meaning and knowledge ensures that neither of you stagnates. Marriage, for you, is not a finish line, it's a launching pad for mutual evolution. Space to evolve, individually and together. If there's one non-negotiable for you in any long-term relationship, it's the freedom to be fully yourself. That means you need space, real, respected space, to think, to create, to wander, and to change. You are constantly evolving, sometimes in dramatic leaps. Friendship. You, Aquarius born on January 28, don't attract friends, you recruit a tribe. Artists, rebels, philosophers, visionaries, and rule-breakers are naturally drawn to your magnetic presence. You're the kind of person people meet once and never forget. There's something about the way you speak, thoughtful, unpredictable, slightly futuristic, that makes people want to follow your lead, or at least understand the strange and beautiful universe you live in. You're not loud about it, but you somehow always end up setting the tone for what's next, whether it's a cultural shift, an idea, or a niche obsession that suddenly becomes mainstream. Your circle is often eclectic and international, filled with people from different walks of life. You're not interested in shallow connections or clique-based loyalty. What matters to you is authenticity, originality, and a spark of something real. The people closest to you tend to be thinkers and dreamers, people who challenge the system, chase ideas, or see life through a surreal, questioning lens. You don't collect friends casually, you find people who vibrate at your frequency. But your social self comes with contradictions. You're the life of the party and the quiet observer. You can be everyone's confidant, and yet no one really knows what you're feeling unless you decide to reveal it. You're warm but not always emotionally available. You make others feel special, but often protect your own vulnerability like a secret treasure. Your friendships are loyal and meaningful, but there's always a part of you that stays just out of reach. You value honesty, intelligence, and above all, authenticity in your friendships. Small talk drains you. Pretense repels you. You're only truly yourself around people who can be honest, not just with you, but with themselves. Your favorite conversations are unfiltered, philosophical, or hilarious in an unexpected way. You're not into gossip, status games, or surface-level bonding. Instead, you want to get underneath. What do people really believe? What drives them? What scares them? What do they think the world needs? If a friend lies, acts fake, or follows trends just to fit in, it's an immediate red flag. You admire people who stand out, even awkwardly, more than people who blend in beautifully. To you, being real, even if it's messy, is the most attractive trait a person can have. Your closest friends are the ones who've been through something, questioned themselves, and still stayed true. That's who you trust. Your challenge: let people support you more. You're so used to being the strong one, the independent one, the "I've got this" person, that you often miss chances to be nurtured, helped, or even just emotionally held. You've trained yourself to not need people, which makes you impressive, but sometimes lonely. Deep down, you crave the same kind of loyalty and care you give to others, but you may not know how to ask for it, or even how to accept it when it's offered. Learning to be vulnerable in friendship is your next step. Let people show up for you. Let someone bring the food, send the check-in text, or remind you that you're not alone. You're so good at showing up for others in big, transformative ways, now let yourself receive that kind of devotion, too. Because when you do, you'll find that the connection you've always longed for doesn't require losing yourself, it requires letting others see you as you truly are. Career business. If you're born on January 28, your career isn't just about making money, it's about making a mark. You're not here to follow the rules, you're here to rewrite them. Your mind works in disruptive patterns, you question processes, reinvent systems, and imagine futures that others can't even conceptualize yet. The idea of doing the same task day after day, especially without purpose, is your personal definition of slow death. You're the visionary in the boardroom who throws out the entire strategy and replaces it with something radical, and it works. You don't chase stability, you chase meaning, challenge, and the thrill of possibility. You thrive in industries that are in flux: tech, media, activism, innovation, and any space where the blueprint is still being drawn. And if the industry doesn't yet exist, you might just create it. You're the kind of person who's ahead of your time, often misunderstood early in your journey, but revered later as a genius. Your path isn't linear, it zigzags, evolves, and often shocks others with sudden leaps forward. That's because your ambition is fueled not by status or approval, but by purpose. You often prefer to work alone or in leadership roles, because collaboration only works for you when there's respect for your unique thought process. You don't micromanage, and you can't be micromanaged. You despise red tape, rigid hierarchies, and people who cling to the way it's always been done. Instead, you thrive in work environments that are experimental, fast-moving, and intellectually stimulating. The more freedom you're given, the more brilliance you deliver. Tech entrepreneur. With your innate ability to see how systems connect and where they break, the world of startups and tech disruption is your natural playground. You're drawn to the future, not just the next step, but 5 steps ahead. You might invent a platform that changes how people interact, a new form of ethical AI, or a decentralized system that gives power back to users. You're not afraid to fail, and you know that risk is the price of transformation. That makes you a bold founder, the kind who inspires loyalty and innovation in your team. You don't just create products, you create movements. You believe in building tech that serves humanity, not just investors. That means you're likely to focus on areas like sustainability, accessibility, mental health, or future of work tools. And if you're not founding a company yourself, you're the creative disruptor in someone else's operation, always pushing for evolution and refusing to settle for good enough. Inventor. Your brain naturally looks for what's missing, and what could be better. You're the person who sees an everyday object and asks, why hasn't anyone upgraded this yet? Whether it's a physical invention, a new process, or a social model, you're wired to create. You likely doodled futuristic gadgets as a kid or came up with life hacks before the term even existed. This drive to innovate isn't just intellectual, it's spiritual. You feel called to improve the world, not because you want credit, but because you can't not do it. As an inventor, you work best in solitude or with a trusted creative partner who can bounce your big ideas back at you. You often don't even need inspiration, your mind is the inspiration. You just need time, space, and perhaps a little chaos to bring it into form. And once it's real, you move on to the next idea, because stagnation, to you, is the enemy of genius. Futurist. You're not interested in what's trending now, you're obsessed with what's coming next. You see patterns before others do, connect social, technological, and political shifts in ways that seem psychic. But it's not magic, it's how your brain works. You absorb information from every angle, process it unconsciously, and then blurt out predictions that later prove accurate. As a futurist, you might work in consulting, public speaking, think tanks, or policy reform. You're drawn to fields where you can anticipate change and help others prepare for it. You're also likely to be passionate about ethics in innovation. While many people think of the future in terms of profit or speed, you think in terms of humanity. How will this change affect communities? The environment? Our mental health? That makes your voice invaluable, not just as a trend forecaster, but as a moral compass in a rapidly evolving world. Humanitarian leader. Your Aquarian soul is deeply connected to justice, equity, and collective well-being. You're not here to make noise, you're here to make change. Whether through activism, non-profit leadership, or social entrepreneurship, you're at your best when you're fighting for something bigger than yourself. You don't believe in charity that maintains the status quo, you believe in solutions that transform lives. And you're willing to challenge governments, break institutions, or build alternative systems if that's what it takes. As a humanitarian leader, you combine strategy with empathy. You don't just organize, you inspire. You rally people around vision, not ego. And even though you're not always comfortable in the spotlight, you'll step into it if it serves the mission. Your legacy. Systems that outlast you and lives that are forever changed because you cared loudly. Writer or journalist. Words are your playground. You see language as a tool for revolution, connection, and truth. Whether you're writing exposés, speculative fiction, political essays, or personal manifestos, your voice carries weight. You have a gift for articulating what others can't quite express, and for drawing attention to the hidden, the strange, or the unjust. You don't write to entertain, you write to illuminate. As a journalist, you're an investigator of truth, unafraid to challenge power or dig beneath the surface. As a novelist or poet, you're a weaver of worlds that reflect your values and visions. You likely have a distinct style, quirky, bold, or hauntingly honest. And no matter your medium, you use your words to shift minds, stir hearts, and provoke thought. Researcher or scientist. Your curiosity is endless, and science gives it a channel. You're driven by big questions. What is consciousness? How can we reverse climate change? What lies beyond the observable universe? You're not in it for prestige or grants, you're in it for the thrill of knowing. And you don't stop at what's already been discovered, you're drawn to the mysteries that still baffle the world. In research, you're meticulous yet intuitive. You connect dots others miss, and you're comfortable with ambiguity. You might specialize in fringe sciences, theoretical models, or experimental approaches. You're the scientist who writes poetry on the side, or the analyst who sees equations as art. You bring heart to data and imagination to facts. And that makes your work not only brilliant, but revolutionary. Film director or media producer. You have a cinematic mind, one that sees stories in moments, themes in chaos, and meaning in symbolism. If you enter the media world, you're not interested in formula. You want to say something. Your projects likely combine artistic flair with social commentary. You challenge your audience, you don't just entertain them. And you're drawn to stories that shake people awake or help them dream again. As a director or producer, you're visionary and collaborative. You empower your team, bring out the best in actors or creatives, and hold the story like a conductor holds a symphony. Your originality makes your work polarizing at times, but also unforgettable. And you're not afraid to experiment with new formats, tech, or styles to get your message across. Astrologer or spiritual coach. Yes, seriously. With your intuitive insight and broad perspective, you're a natural at translating abstract systems into personal truths. Whether it's astrology, numerology, human design, or energy healing, you have the ability to see patterns in people's lives and help them decode their path. You don't preach, you guide. And your sessions are often filled with unexpected wisdom, humor, and clarity. You're not interested in vague, feel-good advice, you want to help people transform. That's why clients or followers come to trust you deeply. You blend the rational and the mystical, bringing both structure and soul to your work. And in an age of spiritual awakening, your voice stands out as one of grounded rebellion and cosmic truth. You work best with minimal supervision, maximum freedom, and the ability to think outside the box. Your ideal job doesn't feel like a job, it feels like a quest. You need autonomy. Schedules, bureaucracy, or someone breathing down your neck will kill your flow. You thrive when you're trusted to deliver without being micromanaged. That trust unlocks your genius, and your output becomes faster, deeper, and more inspired. Freedom is not just a preference for you, it's a requirement for your creativity and mental well-being. You're a natural problem solver who doesn't just think outside the box, you question whether the box should exist at all. You reimagine what's possible and then work toward it with passion and persistence. And that's why you rarely stay in one lane for long. Numerology, the power of one. Your birth date, January 28th, reduces to the life path number 1, the number of the pioneer, the creator, the original spark. In numerology, 1 is the beginning of all things. It carries the energy of boldness, individuality, and sheer willpower. You're here not to blend in, but to stand out. And that's not always easy, but it's exactly what makes your journey so powerful. As a life path 1, you're self-directed and fiercely independent. You don't wait for permission, you act. You don't mimic, you invent. You are the blueprint for others, often forging your path in unfamiliar terrain while everyone else watches, hesitates, or follows later. You're here to lead, not through authority, but through vision. And your presence can feel intense, not because you're arrogant, but because you're tuned into something bigger than what's obvious. Independence. You're most alive when you're steering your own ship. You might work with others, but you need to own your direction. Being told what to do can feel soul-crushing, even if the advice is good. You don't rebel just for the sake of it, you simply trust your inner compass more than anyone else's. And when you do make mistakes, they become fuel for your growth, not reasons to play it safer next time. Originality. Your ideas are fresh, strange, or light years ahead, and that's the point. You're not here to repeat what works. You're here to try what hasn't been done. That means you'll often feel like a loner or outsider early in life, but later, others will see you as an innovator. Your originality is your superpower, and the more you lean into it, the more magnetic and successful you become. Determination. You don't just dream big, you pursue big. You have the energy to push through doubt, obstacles, or setbacks because you believe in your mission. Others may give up halfway, but you're wired to keep going. And when you combine that with vision and flexibility, there's nothing you can't accomplish. You don't need cheerleaders, your own fire is enough. Occasional loneliness leaders walk alone, sometimes. The flip side of being a pathfinder is that the road can get quiet. People might misunderstand you, project their fears onto you, or even resist your growth. It's lonely sometimes. But remember, solitude doesn't mean isolation. Your path may be solo, but it's never without purpose. You're laying the groundwork for others, even when no one's watching. A tip from numerology. Stay open to help. You don't have to do everything solo to prove your worth. You can go it alone, but that doesn't mean you should. Life path ones often fall into the trap of thinking they have to prove their strength by doing everything without support. But true strength is knowing when to ask for help, when to collaborate, and when to rest. You're not less powerful when you lean on others, you're more effective. Because when a visionary like you joins forces with those who believe in your mission, that's when the world really starts to change. Druid horoscope, the cypress tree. In the ancient wisdom of the Druid tree horoscope, those born on January 28 are aligned with the cypress tree, a symbol of silent strength, spiritual depth, and emotional clarity earned through life's trials. The cypress doesn't shout for attention. It stands tall, quietly rooted, weathering storms with dignity. And that's exactly what defines you at your core. You may not be the loudest voice in the room, but your presence is felt, deeply, and often in ways people can't quite explain. You're the type of person who others instinctively turn to in moments of crisis, not because you offer comforting platitudes, but because you know pain, and have survived it. The cypress soul is forged in resilience. It's familiar with loneliness, transformation, and starting over. But instead of becoming bitter, it becomes wise. This gives you a rare emotional authority, a quiet power that commands respect without ever demanding it. Cypress-born people carry the energy of ancient protectors. You are both shield and sanctuary, capable of fierce loyalty and gentle care. You often take on the emotional burdens of others, not out of obligation, but because your soul is built to hold weight and transform it. There is something mysterious and soulful about you that others can't quite define, but always remember. You're not interested in superficial bonds or attention, you crave meaning, depth, and connection rooted in truth. Strong emotional resilience. You are not easily broken. Life has tested you, often more than once, and each time, you've come back stronger, quieter, and more intentional. You don't react to hardship with chaos or denial. Instead, you process it slowly, almost ritualistically, turning wounds into wisdom. You've likely endured betrayals, losses, or identity shifts that could have unraveled someone else, but you learn to ground yourself in those storms. Your strength is not loud or performative, it's real. You don't need to prove it. Others feel it in your calm presence, your steady voice, and the way you carry yourself when everything around you is uncertain. You rarely seek pity because you've taught yourself how to rebuild from the inside. And the resilience you embody becomes a beacon for others who are struggling. You don't preach survival, you embody it. In relationships, this emotional resilience means you're not afraid of complicated feelings. You don't flinch at someone else's grief, fear, or messiness. You hold space, not just with patience, but with empathy born from lived experience. And that makes you a profoundly healing presence, even if you never say a word about it. Deep inner wisdom, especially through adversity. Your wisdom doesn't come from books or degrees, it comes from living fully. You've seen the underside of life, the disappointments, the unexpected turns, the quiet griefs that reshape who we are. But instead of breaking you down, these experiences have polished you into something refined and rare. You've developed a deep, intuitive understanding of human nature. You get people, even when they don't get themselves. This inner wisdom makes you an exceptional guide, not because you give advice, but because your very presence reflects what's possible when pain is alchemized into purpose. You often know what to say without saying much. You listen between the lines. You perceive what's hidden. And you never judge, because you understand how complex and contradictory people can be. When others are lost, they turn to you for your grounded perspective. And often, your wisdom shows up in small but life-changing ways, a few words that hit deeper than expected, a quiet gesture that brings someone back to themselves, or a long pause that holds more meaning than any lecture. You're not here to lecture, you're here to witness, to reflect, and to help others find clarity by example. A mysterious, almost old soul presence. You have a presence that can't be faked or taught. People often say there's something ancient about you, like you've lived many lives or carry the weight of forgotten truths. You may not always understand this energy yourself, but it comes through in your voice, your gaze, your silence. You seem to know things without knowing how. And that can make people feel both drawn to you and slightly intimidated. This mystery doesn't come from being closed off, it comes from depth. You don't share your full self easily. You're selective with your energy, cautious with your trust, and always attuned to what's real. You're allergic to superficiality. And when you do speak, people listen, because they sense there's more behind your words than just opinion. There's experience. Soul. Truth. Flower horoscope, orchid. According to the flower-based astrology traditions, those born on January 28 resonate with the orchid, a flower known for its elegance, sensuality, mystery, and breathtaking rarity. Like you, the orchid is not easily understood at first glance. It's not loud or showy like a sunflower. It doesn't bloom easily in just any environment. It chooses when and where to show its beauty, and once it does, it leaves an unforgettable impression. You share this selective energy. You don't open up to everyone. You guard your truth behind layers of observation, intellect, and inner strength. But when someone earns your trust, you reveal a side of yourself that's mesmerizing, vulnerable, radiant, deeply feeling, and full of refined emotional intelligence. You are discerning, which is often mistaken for being cold or distant. But in reality, you're just protecting a depth of feeling that runs far deeper than others realize. You live life on your own terms, and you're drawn to aesthetics, environments, and people that feel aligned with your internal world. You might be particular about how you decorate your space, how you dress, or who you allow into your energy. That's not vanity, it's intentionality. You thrive when your outer world reflects your inner clarity. Refined sensuality. Your sensuality isn't loud or performative, it's subtle, intimate, and incredibly powerful. You exude a kind of understated magnetism that draws people in without trying. The way you speak, touch, move, or look can carry more electricity than others' grand gestures. You don't reveal everything at once, you build mystery. You understand the art of timing, the power of suggestion, and the beauty of silence. This makes you an unforgettable lover and an alluring presence. But your sensuality goes beyond romance, it's in how you experience the world. You notice textures, tastes, sounds, and light. You seek beauty in form and feeling. Whether it's the curve of a sentence, the smell of rain, or the way music moves your spirit, your sensuality is rooted in presence. You are always tuned into what feels real. Selective affection. You don't give your heart freely, and that's a gift. You are not emotionally stingy, but you are emotionally intentional. You have high standards because you know what your affection is worth. You don't fake connection. You don't pretend to care. And when you do love, you love with quiet devotion and fierce loyalty. Your circle may be small, but it's sacred. This selectivity isn't arrogance, it's protection. Your heart is valuable, and you know it. You're not here to save everyone, fix broken people, or lose yourself in emotional noise. You choose relationships that are authentic, grounded, and reciprocal. And when someone proves themselves worthy of your trust, you offer a kind of love that is deeply healing and rare. Inner strength masked in grace. Much like the orchid, you may appear delicate, but your core is pure steel. You've survived emotional droughts, spiritual storms, and internal winters. And through it all, you've grown more beautiful, more intentional, and more whole. You don't flaunt your strength, you live it, wrapped in elegance. This grace is what makes you both powerful and disarming. You can hold your ground in a conflict with calm certainty. You can walk away from what doesn't serve you without bitterness. And you can offer compassion without sacrificing your boundaries. You are both gentle and unbreakable, and that combination makes you a rare and radiant soul in a world that often forgets how strength and softness can coexist. Stone horoscope, garnet. If you were born on January 28, your soul stone is the powerful, smoldering garnet, a gem that doesn't just sparkle, it radiates energy. Garnet is more than a beautiful mineral, it's a talisman of vitality, protection, and creative power that reflects your fiery inner world. For centuries, warriors, mystics, and leaders wore garnet not for its status, but for its force. This stone doesn't whisper, it hums with intensity, just like you. As someone whose energy flows in bursts of brilliance, garnet helps ground your wild ideas while also amplifying your emotional courage and spiritual intuition. You're not someone who casually tries things out. When you're in, you're all in. Garnet supports that boldness by realigning your root and heart chakras, giving your convictions a physical pulse. It's the gem of initiation, perfect for Aquarians like you who are always birthing new visions, new projects, new ways of thinking. But where your air sign energy can sometimes drift or scatter, garnet brings focused fire. It burns away fear, centers your drive, and reminds you that bold action starts in the heart, not the head. You're a deeply intuitive person, but sometimes you second-guess your instincts in favor of logic or detachment. Garnet helps you trust your inner knowing, to act when you feel it, not just when you rationalize it. It urges you to take risks that feel meaningful, to speak your truth more clearly, and to love without holding back. Whether worn as jewelry or kept close in your space, garnet is your energetic ally, a silent reminder that your passion is your power. Vitality and passion. Garnet pulses with the life force of the Earth's core, and it channels that vitality directly into your spirit. If you've ever felt drained, disconnected, or uninspired, garnet acts like a cosmic battery, recharging your system and reminding you of your natural fire. It doesn't just wake up your body, it awakens your drive. This is especially potent for Aquarians, whose mental energy can sometimes overshadow their physical and emotional needs. Garnet grounds you back into the body, into desire, into presence. Passion, for you, isn't just romantic, it's purpose-driven. Garnet feeds that passion like oxygen feeds flame. It helps you re-engage with what excites you, whether it's your career, a creative pursuit, or a cause that lights up your soul. When you're connected to your passion, you're unstoppable, and garnet serves as a daily reminder that your life should feel alive, not just functional. This stone is particularly powerful during life transitions, new jobs, bold creative moves, or emotional breakthroughs. When you wear it or meditate with it, it taps into your deepest reserves of enthusiasm and reminds you of who you really are when you're not overthinking, a being of movement, mission, and magnetic vitality. Protection from negativity. Aquarians are known for their open-mindedness and energetic sensitivity, and that makes you particularly vulnerable to emotional interference. You often absorb the energy of others, especially if you're not consciously protecting your aura. Garnet acts as an energetic shield, blocking toxic vibes, psychic drains, and emotional manipulation before they can infiltrate your field. It's like a spiritual firewall, silently buffering you from low vibrations. This protection isn't about isolation, it's about discernment. Garnet strengthens your boundaries without hardening your heart. It allows you to stay open, creative, and compassionate while also remaining sovereign. You're not here to carry other people's chaos. And garnet helps you remember that. This stone also protects against internal negativity, the self-doubt, fear, or mental noise that sometimes clouds your vision. When worn consistently, garnet becomes a mirror for your higher self, reflecting confidence, clarity, and grounded trust. It reminds you that no matter what's happening externally, you have the power to choose your energetic state, and you always have the strength to rise. Unbreakable loyalty. At your core, you are a deeply loyal person, not in a loud or performative way, but in a quiet, unwavering one. When you commit to a person, cause, or path, you stay. Garnet is the stone that honors this loyalty. It deepens your commitment and helps you hold space for the things that matter most to you. It doesn't just reflect love, it strengthens devotion. In relationships, garnet helps you express that loyalty more fully. It strengthens emotional intimacy by keeping the heart open, even in moments of challenge or distance. It reinforces trust, in yourself, in your partner, and in the bond you've chosen. You may not be overly sentimental, but your devotion runs deep. Garnet helps you live it, not just think it. Vedic Astrology, Capricorn Makara Sidereal Zodiac. In the lens of Vedic astrology, which follows the sidereal zodiac and often reveals subtle truths Western astrology misses, your sun likely falls under Makara Rashi, also known as Capricorn. While Western tradition calls you an Aquarius, the sidereal system shifts the zodiac dates back slightly, and this often places January 28 natives in Capricorn territory. What does this mean? It means you carry the high-octane visionary energy of Aquarius, tempered by Capricorn's deep-rooted ambition, structure, and spiritual discipline. You are both the innovator and the executor, the dreamer and the builder. This Vedic influence gives you a more grounded, legacy-minded personality than many other Aquarians. You're not just chasing radical ideas for fun, you're trying to build something that lasts. Your visions are structured. Your dreams are scalable. You don't rebel for the sake of it, you challenge systems so they can work better. And at the heart of it all is a powerful karmic urge to serve something greater than yourself. Vedic astrology doesn't just describe personality, it speaks to your dharma, your spiritual responsibility. And in your case, that responsibility centers around leadership, integrity, and long-term impact. You're here to use your insight not just to think differently, but to lead others toward transformation in real, tangible ways. Disciplined and driven. Under Makara Rashi, your inner motor never stops. You may come across as calm or even detached, but underneath, you're constantly organizing, refining, and planning your next move. Discipline isn't a struggle for you, it's second nature. You understand that big goals require consistent effort, and you're willing to put in the work, even when no one's watching. This discipline shows up not just in your career, but in your relationships and personal development. You're not interested in shortcuts or shallow rewards. You want to earn your success, and you're proud of your ability to delay gratification for a bigger vision. And when paired with your Aquarian insight, that makes you a powerhouse, someone who can both dream and deliver. Ambitious, but with a spiritual core. Yes, you want to succeed, but not in the ego-driven way. You're drawn to power, responsibility, and achievement, but only if they're aligned with your deeper purpose. Makara-born individuals are often spiritual climbers, seeking not just material wealth, but meaningful elevation. You don't just want the title, you want to transform the system from within. This means your ambition often looks different from others. You might pursue leadership in fields that serve the collective, education, social reform, spiritual work, or ethical business. And you're likely to be attracted to traditions or practices that keep you centered, even as you rise. Whether it's meditation, astrology, ancient philosophy, or sacred rituals, you intuitively know that success without soul is empty. More grounded than Western Aquarius. Western Aquarius energy can sometimes veer into eccentricity for its own sake, all vision, no vessel. But Makara Aquarius, shaped by Capricorn influence, is more stable, measured, and rooted in results. You still dream big, but you plan bigger. You don't just float ideas, you create timelines. You're not afraid to get your hands dirty turning theory into reality. This groundedness is a gift. It helps you stay centered when others get lost in the clouds. It makes you a better collaborator, because you bring structure to chaos. And it ensures that your originality has staying power. People may come to you for the big picture, but they stay because you make the big picture real. Strong karma tied to leadership through service. Your soul didn't come here to live quietly. Whether you realize it or not, you carry a deep karmic assignment, to lead, uplift, and serve. That leadership doesn't have to be loud, it could mean mentoring, teaching, innovating behind the scenes, or simply being the person others look to in a crisis. But make no mistake, your presence matters. And it's meant to be used. Service, for you, doesn't mean self-sacrifice, it means purposeful impact. When you align your talents with the needs of others, your life clicks into a new gear. You feel energized, clear, and unstoppable. The more you lead with integrity, the more blessings come your way, not just materially, but spiritually. Because in Vedic astrology, fulfilling your dharma is the highest success there is. In summary, if you were born on January 28, you're not just another Aquarius, you're a singular force of nature. You are a lightning storm wrapped in poetry, capable of breaking molds while leaving beauty in your wake. You don't merely stand out in a crowd, you shift the atmosphere when you enter the room. Your energy carries both a crackle of rebellion and the warm hum of healing. People may find you unpredictable, but you're not chaotic, you're tuned into a higher frequency. Where others see limits, you see potential. Where they see routine, you feel revolution waiting to happen. Your life is a paradox in motion, futuristic but deeply human, detached yet emotionally rich, fiercely independent but quietly loyal. You don't take paths, you cut them. Whether in relationships, your career, your creative life, or your belief systems, you move in ways that others don't anticipate. But what seems spontaneous to the world has usually been cooking inside you for months, even years. You have the rare ability to foresee possibilities, and the courage to pursue them before they're considered safe, acceptable, or even realistic. Because to you, realism is just a matter of timing. Your mission in this lifetime isn't just to live, it's to redefine what living can be. You're not here to accept tradition blindly, follow outdated models of success, or play it safe just to stay comfortable. You're here to ask hard questions, tear down the false walls, and create something better, not just for yourself, but for the world. You were born with a visionary compass and a soul wired for evolution. Whether you lead a movement, raise children who think freely, design systems that change lives, or inspire one person to step into their truth, your impact will ripple far beyond what you can see. Your path in life is to lead through innovation. You were never meant to follow, and you've likely known that from a young age. Even if you tried to conform, something in your soul always pulled you toward the edge, toward the unknown, toward what could be. You are a born innovator. Your mind is not just curious, it's constructive. You see gaps in the world and instinctively begin designing new bridges. This isn't limited to science or tech, it could be in education, healing, storytelling, fashion, or social justice. Innovation, to you, is about improvement with purpose. You don't break things for attention, you break them open so that something more beautiful, more just, more alive can take their place. You lead by example, by vision, and often by being the only one bold enough to ask, what if we did it differently? Whether or not you have a formal title, people look to you for what's next. You may not always feel ready, but that's the brilliance of your nature, you act anyway. You trust your internal signal more than external permission. And when you lean into that leadership role, even when it's uncomfortable, you become a catalyst for everyone around you. Innovation is your love language to the world. It's how you care. You improve things not because they're broken beyond repair, but because you believe in their potential. And that's what makes you such a powerful force, you see what's possible before it's visible. To love without losing yourself. In relationships, your journey is to give without surrendering your essence, to connect deeply while remaining whole. You are fiercely independent, not because you're afraid to be vulnerable, but because you know the value of your inner world. You love with your mind, your ideals, and your entire nervous system. But the moment someone tries to box you in, you instinctively resist. That's not fear, it's instinctive preservation of your creative soul. Your ideal love is not one that consumes, but one that co-creates. You're here to show that love can be a meeting of two complete beings, not a merging, but a mutual expansion. You want a partner who doesn't complete you, but complements your wildness, your dreams, and your truth. And when you find that person, your loyalty is deep, your love is electric, and your presence in their life becomes transformational. But your challenge is this, to open your heart while still holding your boundaries. To not ghost when things get intense. To allow closeness without fearing the loss of autonomy. Because when you learn that you can stay free and connected, you unlock a kind of partnership that few people ever experience, a sacred union between two whole souls, walking side by side through the infinite. To build a future no one else has imagined yet, but you saw coming years ago. You live a few beats ahead of the rest of the world. Your visions, ideas, and longings often arrive early, too early for others to understand. But that doesn't mean they're wrong. It means you're tuned into the frequency of what's next. This foresight is a gift, but it can also feel isolating. You may feel dismissed, misunderstood, or even doubted, especially early in life. But don't let the world's delays shake your clarity. History is filled with visionaries who were ridiculed in their time and revered later. You are one of them. Your task is not just to dream about the future, it's to build it. To stay steady in your belief, to create proof of concept, to keep moving even when no one else sees what you see. Whether it's through invention, storytelling, activism, or design, your role is to anchor the future in the present. And when the rest of the world finally catches up, they'll wonder how you knew. But you won't wonder, you'll just smile. Because you've always known. Your legacy isn't just in what you accomplish, it's in how you give others permission to evolve. You're not just creating for yourself. You're leaving blueprints. You're igniting others. You're building a world that's better, freer, more awake, and you're doing it in a way only you can. You're not here to follow the rules. You're here to rewrite them. In love. In business. In friendships. In every way that counts. Following rules for the sake of tradition. Not your style. You were born with an inner compass that doesn't point north, it points forward. You don't reject rules to be difficult. You reject them when they no longer serve truth, freedom, or humanity. That applies to everything: how you work, how you love, how you create, and how you live. In love, you design your own relationship model, one rooted in freedom, connection, and shared growth. In business, you question the hierarchy and bring soul to strategy. In friendship, you choose quality over quantity and loyalty over convenience. You don't show up halfway. And you don't accept anything less than real. That's the revolution you bring, not with loud rebellion, but with quiet, unshakable authenticity. You weren't meant to fit in, you were meant to shift reality. And you do it, every day, just by living as yourself. Was this the most accurate reading you've ever had? Let's find out. Tell us in the comments, what resonated? What surprised you? And what did you already know, deep down, but finally feel validated hearing? This is your moment to connect, reflect, and celebrate your cosmic signature. If this blew your mind, just imagine what else the stars, and your story, have to say. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and explore more videos just like this. Check the links in the description for custom readings, powerful astrology tools, and more ways to decode your unique path. Stay weird. Stay wise. Stay wonderful. The future needs you, exactly as you are.